consultant that is in water, Metro Water. I've asked him to talk to you about our capacity. If there are any areas that have low storage water capacity, that type of thing, that a lot of buildings wouldn't be successful there, or if there are any places that are being updated, or any water concerns in our area that he wants to share. I also have, and I'm sorry, you gotta tell me your name again.
It's Latanzia.
Latanzia?
Yes, ma'am.
From We Go, who is going to talk to you about some changes that are going on with that as well. So I am actually going to let them go before we have our presentation. Mr. Honeysucker?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Let's see where I need to put this. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. So I've assembled a dynamic team from Metro Water to talk with you on holistically about the Metro Water capacity side, from stormwater to the water, and also reviewing of plans. I have with me Mr. Christian Thompson, who I'm going to let talk about capacity. I have Steve Mishu, when you talk about stormwater regs and different things of that nature, and also one of our phenomenal engineers, Eli Anderson, who's actually reviewing one of the plans that is in the district. So with that being said, Christian, can you talk a little bit about capacity, things that you look for, or how do you determine the capacity when people come in and request that? And then I'll let Steve and Eli speak after that.
Certainly. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good evening. Whenever we were looking at capacity, we send it for modeling. Each and every site that has 10 or more units of flow, that's 3,500 gallons per day, we actually send it into our modeling department to look at it and make sure that it is going to work. If there are any downstream improvements required, which there are in many cases, we will set that up and make that a requirement of the development. So no cost, no subsidizing of any sort of private development occurs on our part. It is the developer's responsibility to convey his or her sewage to a system that is capable of handling the capacity. For the water, we do it the same way. We have a water model that runs the entire city. And we want to make sure that each and every fire hydrant produces 1,000 gallons a minute at 20 PSI, and that there's enough domestic flow, that we don't have low pressure issues, and that we have volume where volume's needed. So with that said, each and every site that we look at through Metro has been fully vetted, and we make sure that those sites will not impact our existing customer base, because we're not looking at the developer, so to speak. We are looking at our end users and our existing customer base. We do not want to negatively impact anybody. When the developer's done, he's done. So we, Metro Water, being the water provider, sewer collector, and stormwater, we want to make sure that we give the best available product that will not cause an impact to our existing customer base. So that is a very short form, and happy to accept any questions that you guys have about anything related to water and sewer. I am familiar with all 4 of the projects that are listed. So anything that you guys want or need to know specifically, please ask. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for water? Okay. John, is that all you had for that?
I'd like to see if Steve Mishu or Eli Anderson, if either one of the engineers would like to add any comments to piggyback off of what Christian has said.
Sure, I'll start in with some stormwater regulations. Can you guys hear me just fine?
Yes.
Fantastic. So we've come a long ways. When I first started at Metro Water, we were only doing detention 2, 5, 10, 10-year storms. We've since then upgraded our manual. Now we have to require that you analyze all storm events all the way up to the 100-year. And then recently, just as government never gets easier, we always get harder on things. We enacted LID requirements. So any project in Nashville that gets developed is going to have to do and analyze detention to the 100-year, and they're going to have to have LID measures, whether it's pervious pavement, by retention, or a combination of those. Unless there's something on the site like sinkholes, every project will have that detention requirement and the LID requirement. So not talking about any project in specific just yet, but that's the overall stormwater regulations. And I'm going to sit back and I'm going to wait for any potential questions that may come around as well.
Do you all have any questions?
Eli, if you have something you want to say, please feel free to add it in now.
Else wants to? John, does somebody else from water want to say something?
Eli, do you have anything to add to that, or are you good?
Yes, I was just going to add that I'm most familiar with the 3834 Pinhook Road project. I'm familiar with the initial reviews that have been carried out with it and will answer any questions to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Councilor Lee, that's all we have, unless your constituents have any questions that they may want to ask us. Feel free to let us know.
I don't think we have any questions, so
Uh-oh.
Councilor, you froze up on us.
John, I can hear you. Could you hear me?
I hear you, but I don't hear.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page.
John, Steve, I can hear you both too as well.
I didn't hear it. I think you said Christian.
I heard.
I also can hear everything.
Well, it just went out. Okay. Everybody still there?
Yes, sir.
I am.
And we may have to log out and log back in, I guess. I don't know. Okay.
I think what they're doing in the room is probably resetting their connection, and they're going to rejoin this meeting here.
Okay.
So it sounds like we could all hear each other. We just can't get into the in-person meeting.
All right. Well, you know, I think maybe we let me see if I'm gonna try to log out and log back in and see if that helps.
He's a better man than me. I don't think I could figure out how to get back in. I think I got lucky this time.
Hi guys, since we're waiting, this is Patrice, and I have a question for the water guys. Just something that I noticed only after, I live in Kensal Green on Park Royal, and they built additional 50 houses down on this street in this area. down Park Royal. And I didn't notice this until after those houses were built, that the water now leaves like a pinkish, like in the toilet. If you don't flush the toilet, like I have a 2-story home and it's just my husband and I, so nobody's ever upstairs. But just within a week's time, if you don't flush that toilet, you know, on a regular basis, it leaves, the water is pink. It leaves a pink ring in the toilet. And I didn't know that wasn't the case until they built these additional homes. Does anybody have an explanation as to why that is?
Is anyone from Metro Water still on?
Yes, I am. I'm on. This Patrice, this is Christian.
Yes, Christian.
Is
hi.
your home a newer home?
No, my home was built in '93. It was
93.
the original ones on Park Royal and Kensal Green on this and on Park Royal. It's not one of the newer ones that they just built the last year or so ago.
Gotcha. Yeah, I am not familiar with the pink ring in the toilet. I do know that it should be part of your weekly regimen to run faucets and sinks and things just to keep traps wet and things of that nature. But if you are having water issues, we do have a dispatch telephone number where somebody will come out and verify that it is not something wrong with the water system. We are overly concerned with things that you're drinking. I mean, that is absolutely 100% important. So I can definitely give you a telephone number for you to call. It's just a dispatch number and they'll show up and be there rapidly. So let me give you that telephone number. Hang on just a second.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And it is just a dispatch and you'll follow the prompts. And they're all fantastic. And we'll get that question answered for you. It is 862-4600. Of course, that's area code 615. And you just want to start with, it's going to give you a whole bunch of different options and you'll probably land in the other section of it. But these guys are fantastic and they'll system services will handle anything that you need done.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So
Give us that number again, please.
Telephone number is 862-4600. And that's the number you use for an emergency response or report a leak for anything that you have to do with water and sewer. If you have a sewer overflow, you should call that number. If you have a water main break, or if you suspect there's a water main break, please call that number and we can rapidly dispatch somebody 24/7. So for me and Steve and Eli and John, our offices are technically closed, but the emergency division is not.
okay.
So there's somebody there 24/7.
Okay, thank you so much, Christian. Would that be the same number to call if you have like stormwater issues?
No. Steve, do you have that number available, bud?
What's even better, it's the same number. You would
Yeah.
call the same number. You'd press option 1 for English, and then you'll press option 4 for stormwater. Or you could go to www.nashville.gov and go to the Metro Water webpage and report a concern that way. Or there's a potential you go to Hub Nashville and they will share with us as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
And hey, Christian, I just wanted to elaborate on Patrice's question. Well, I actually stay in the newer part of Kensal Green, and she is correct in regards to the ring around the water. But my question to you guys is, when we move in this subdivision, there were a list of water issues that we had where Metro Water was out here probably every week going underground, replacing, from what I was told, defective water line pipes because of the influx of homes in the community. So I just wanted to see if you guys could elaborate on the overall stability of the pipes in this area.
Yes, sir. So Kensal Green is one of my favorites. So I'm very familiar with it. And so, you know, you're probably, the newer section of Kensal Green is a grinder pump system. Okay, so it's what we refer to lovingly in the Metro Water world as a zombie subdivision. So it was built approximately 10 years ago, some of it, and then of course the recession hit, and then it was recently brought back online. So whenever you bring something back online, of course, you know, during the interim, it's cut loose from the system. It is not allowed to be there. So they have to bring it back all online, disinfect all the water, meet several sampling and bacteria tests, and do all that sort of stuff for the water. Now, the only issues that I'm familiar with, and that we're still in, I'd say the lawyers have it right now, is the grinder pump systems. All those little residential grinder pumps out there, there was a valve closed in the street that was just buried. So all the systems were pumping against a closed valve, and they were burning them up. So, and I don't know the exact number, so 20 or 25 of them burn up within, you know, just a few months. Of course they did, because they were pumping against, they had nowhere to go. So, you know, after much research, we had to end up digging up a bunch of ground, a bunch of everything, and we ended up determining that the valve was closed. So we opened the valve, all is working correctly. Now we're working with the developer to get reimbursed on that. That's kind of what I started out with, is we do not want to subsidize any private development, because that makes our rates go up. So that's where that is. I'm not aware of any water issues as far as poor water pressure, poor water quality. And that's why it's important to know that telephone number, that 862-4600. If you are having issues with those sorts of things, health and safety is number one priority for this department. And we want to make sure that we were providing a product that is safe to drink and that you have no concerns with. And if you do have a concern, definitely call the number, and we can get somebody out there immediately and check the water and make sure that the water quality is good. With that said, I don't believe that there are any issues. We accepted the infrastructure, except for the sewer. Like I said, we're still in negotiations with that one. And we're just working through it one at a time. So
I have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Who do
ma'am.
you all have down is that developer for that area in the Kensal Green?
The fellow's name is Zach. Hang on, I'll have to bring up and I'm actually sitting at a desk where I'm remoted in, so bear with me just a moment here.
I think it's
Kensal
Kevin
Green.
Hyman, Christian.
Huh?
I think it's Kevin Hyman, isn't it?
It is, and Zach is my point of contact most of the time on that.
Heighman?
Let me see what I've got listed for them.
Council Lady, while they're looking up that information, what I'd like to offer to you and your constituents is a time where, because this can take up the whole meeting time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to respectfully ask your constituents if they would allow us to come back. And we're selfish. We want all the time. So if they will allow us to come back and we can talk more in depth about different locations out in your district, we'll be more than honored to do that. So, I mean,
I think that'll be fantastic. So why don't we work out a date, you and I can put that. I had the 19th, but we were going to have some developers there. But I think between you and the police, we can take up the whole time. But I do need that Zach's last name before you all get off.
Yes, of course. Hang on just a second here.
It's
Okay.
Zachary Randolph, and the other guy is Kevin Heineman, Hyneman.
H-Y-M-A, what?
Neman.
And what was his first name?
Kevin Heineman,
Kevin.
and the other guy is Zachary Randolph.
Thank you so very much.
I have to.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And so I guess what you heard when I told you about the 19th, most likely we will have water, because that sounds like that can be a long conversation. And I do want the police captain as well. So we're going to continue this with another meeting so that you all can ask specific questions about specific areas in the district dealing with the water capacity. Thank you, sir, so very much to you and your whole crew.
Well, tell the constituents before we leave, they're gonna have to clap or something to let us know they love us or something. Y'all gonna have to do better than that. Don't sit there now. We can't handle that. Thank you all so much, and be careful and have a great evening. Steve?
Thank you. And man.
Thank you, guys. If you need anything, call us.
Oh, you know that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Bye now.
Okay. So, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Nobody, I'm so used to wearing it. I just wear it all the time. Okay. So next, as I was explaining before, these are not even, I was going to say not set in stone, but they're not even really set. So they're bringing this to you to talk to you about what they're looking to do, what they want to put, what they want to do. And that's going to be up to you to give the input, to say what you want, what you don't want, what you like. You know, there's some different things that I already do not like, and I'm going to give it to you. Aluminum siding is a big no-no for me. I know one complex that I had talked to the people, they were saying, well, we have an option for aluminum siding or rock, or I don't even want that to be an option. So as you talk to and listen to what they have to say, and what I would advise you to do is to make notes on your agenda so that they can finish their presentation, and then you can ask all your questions. I am going to try to, I may not get you out now since it was our fault with the Zoom. I wanted to get you out at 7 so you could get home in order to see the presidential debate. So I'll try to get you out at least by like 7:15 so that we can see that. So it is going to be a quick, hot and dirty with the presentations, but know that we can come back again. Because you're going to see this again, and I hope you got the presentations emailed to you. I understand one person did not send the email stuff. What I'm going to start doing now, whenever I have community meetings, is when they give me what they want it to look like, I'm going to email that to you all so that you can see what it is before you come in. So if you're not on my email list, make sure that your email was clear out there when you signed in. Okay, so we can just go down, we can start with Pinhook Road, Hops, 2273 Hobson Pike, and then 0 Hobson and Mount View, and I will let them introduce themselves. Yes?
Would it not be easier just to post those things to the District 33 website so you don't have to keep sending them the email, or people that aren't on the list might miss them? You put them there, they're there for everyone to see.
I don't know, yeah, I'll think about that, because what I want to do, the invitations, I want to send out to by email anyway, so I am going to do that anyway. So right now, we'll just go through that and I'll see about, because
Facebook right now asking to get into this meeting, but because they didn't register in advance, they can't participate.
Right, that's what Tawana was trying to help some of them get in, and that is whatever the thing is with Zoom, why we can't do it. We were up here for a long time trying to get that, and that's technology, our technology or whatever with trying to get on with Zoom. So let's go on so that we'll have some time and and do the presentations if the questions aren't about the presentations. Yes.
On the 19th, is the meeting going to be here, and is it going to be the same time frame?
That's up to you. Yes, I mean.
Mr. Coleman has offered this, and I like it because when we tried to have it at Smith Springs Community Center, they're not as big, so you can stretch out like this. So if he gets it approved with his folks and they don't kick him out the church, I will say yes, and I will say yes for the time frame. And the time frame usually, if we can start on time, is like 6 to 7:30.
Okay.
I just want to point out there are still people on Zoom, even with the meeting out there, they can't stay on.
Probably.
The email's not coming through, so just have a virtual. Just want to point out, we can't have a legal meeting over 25 people without doing a health department registration right now, so we gotta.
What are we at, stage 3?
Did we go back? I know he was talking
Did we go
about
back or
going
forward?
back, because I think it can be more than 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll, don't worry, we'll check and make sure that we are under whatever it's supposed to be.
Go
Good evening, can everybody hear me? Okay. I'm Jared Gray with Civil Design Consultants. We are the civil engineers on this project that you have listed first on Pinhook, noted as 3834 Pinhook Road. We call it Pinhook Ridge. So I very well could interchange the two. If I do, then you'll know exactly what I'm referring to, one of the same project. We did send our Google Drive link. Everything that I have in front of you is on that Google Drive. I wanted to share with you that this proposed development is 43 total lots. It is set up in a traditional style. It is a walkable community with sidewalks, street lamps, etc. We are looking to utilize Century Communities to build these homes on these lots. These are the homes they are looking to build within this development. You'll notice that they all have two-car garages. They all have brick or hardy fronts. There will be no vinyl, there will be no aluminum siding on these homes. Also, we have, getting back to what was discussed previously, in this particular case for this project, we have already gone through the water and sewer availability for this number of lots. We have been approved. So they have done their study. They have done that. Their study, pardon me. They have done their studies, excuse me, and determined that they do have capacity. Also, relative to detention, we have two detention areas, a detention area back here in the back and a detention area here in the front. The requirement of Metro is that we not only detain, but we also filter the water. So at the end of the day, what we discharge must be at or below the pre-developed amount. That is a study that is done. It's a big, big book, excuse me, of a lot of calculations. And those calculations are reviewed by Metro Stormwater and their engineers. All engineers throughout the United States and throughout most of the world use the same calculations. So we're all on the same sheet of music at the end of the day. Also, a couple of things that have previously been brought up. Price point will be in the mid 200s. They could reach 300, a little greater than that with options. Other communities that have been developed that have the proposed homes that we're calling for here that you can go and take a look at are Amberton, Davenport Station, Pinnock Place, Hamilton Church Manor, and Chelsea's Way. And those are located throughout Nashville, and one of them's in Franklin. We had a previous question in regards to students, because obviously student capacity is an important thing to make sure that your schools are not overloaded. And so we did reach out to the schools that were zoned for this development. That is Mountview Elementary, John F. Kennedy Middle, and Antioch High School. They all have capacity currently for what we are proposing. Because again, this is only 43 units. So as subdivisions go, this is very small. Along with that, there was some discussion previously, because we do access Pinhook regarding traffic. So we have looked at the traffic, and basically transportation engineers, traffic engineers, look at traffic from a standpoint of what we call level of service. This project is not anticipated to change the level of service. Now, it will go before the Public Works Department. Public Works Department at Metro has a traffic division. That's all they do. So they look at the impacts. Okay, so we have thought that through. We've already done our preliminary work. They will take one final look at it as well. So if there's any improvements or things that need to be made, they will require it. And we will obviously have to do that. So regarding sewer, it is all gravity. We do not have the issue that was brought up previously at the other development with pumps and things that are not functioning properly. This project has none of that. It would be gravity system, which is what you would prefer, given the choice. Again, one of the things that this developer is doing is they have done a cost analysis, because I know Ms. Lee likes to see, and a lot of times constituency likes to see, you know, brick or hardy on all four sides of the building. They have basically run the analysis, and in today's numbers, they have agreed to offer 4 sides, brick, hardy, stone. Varying on
Say that again, please. They have agreed to it, it's not an option.
It's an option.
So
It is
it's an option that
They
they
have agreed
can
to
do
offer
it,
it as an option.
or they can have just it on the front. Because this has
Correct.
already been sold to Century, and so
That is
Century
correct.
is the one who's deciding what to put up.
Correct. That is correct. And Century is the ones that have done the cost analysis. So it varies depending upon obviously which building is being constructed, but they are looking at offering that as an option from $8,000 to $12,000. So we would anticipate most people choosing that option because, quite frankly, it's so, compared to other home builders and what they try to do with that, it's so low. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference in your payment, but it makes enough of a difference to buy some people out. So we want to offer it very competitively as an option, but we want to offer it. But again, we will have no aluminum siding, period, in this development. Basically, that's what I have. Questions?
Please, questions and comments. One here, I see one there,
Okay.
and I see one in the back as well. Okay, so what I see is 1, 2, 3, 4. Please go ahead.
Okay, if you'll flip that around. Can we
Sure.
see I have a question about you have 43 units there on a grid that pretty much puts a lot of traffic on the street. I am the main one of 2 there now. Community where we assume that each house would have 2 cars. Okay. You go down through there are some houses that have 4 cars.
Sure.
There are some houses that have 6 or 7 cars. Okay. Now, with that kind of road pavement and that closeness of those lots, you know what that's going to look like.
The important thing in response to your question is to notice how deep these lots are. They're over 30 yards deep, 33. They're over 100 foot. Okay. About 110 foot deep at depth. That allows us to have 2 cars in the garage. However, as you're well aware, probably, I know in my house, your garage becomes a storage area after time. So you definitely don't want a situation where you can't park outside of the garage. In this case, every one of these lots, you can have 2 cars in the garage, 2 cars behind, and in some of the lots, depending on the footprint, you could even have 2 cars behind those.
here's my question, is that typically the garages get filled up. They don't put cars in the garages. Cars behind those two cars that block the sidewalks. I know, there's codes and all that good stuff, and you have people's cars towed and things like that. It also encourages people to park in the opposite flow of direction. In other words, if I'm on the right-hand side driving through there, we're not much going to guarantee that there's going to be at least half of those cars going to be parked facing me as I'm driving that way. And that's not, you may have a car towed for that also, parking alongside the street. But my point is that that's pretty complex. It's not something that goes along the road where you've got people like your backyard to go out and things like that. But even in my community, there's generally a problem, especially when you get into the loop. We have one loop that basically has 20 cars back. Yeah, it's a lot of cars. I mean, you can't get in there and go around the loop and back out without having this, seesaw around and things like that. And that hasn't changed in over 6 years. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that as we build more of these communities in an area where we kind of started out with not a lot of people, and now we're getting more people, and now we're going to be faced with, as we grow bigger, more cars on the main roads that are traditionally built to handle 2 lanes. Now, a couple of problems with that is that speed conditions, the width of the road, no shoulders, not a lot of them. And some roads, the speeds are incredible, which they should be slowed down. And at nighttime, the lighting is difficult. Okay, you're depending on other people with their bright, zoomy lights trying to get by in a dark area and all that good stuff. So as time goes on, there are plans to, by Metro, to take a look at and improve those conditions and to also put appropriate stoplights so that we're not getting people to get up to, and maybe the speed of the 55 miles an hour, but we're doing 65 or 70, try to make a light at those speeds and become a high impact collision with usually with multiple cars at an intersection that's meant as a 4-way light type of thing. I mean, I lived here in where I live for 15 years, and I've seen everything that I described happen multiple times, year in and year out, but nothing has really changed. Now, the traffic where I live, it's on a 50-mile-an-hour road. It's hot to fight coming down from the lake. And there's not some traffic. Now I have to go around and all this. So there's a lot more truck traffic going on and all this stuff. And we have the same existing lights, virtually none along the stretch. And there's a lot of cars that try to get in and get out and all this stuff. And the condition in my neighborhood, my community is 15 years old, and we're already overloaded with cars. It's kind of like. So
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What I normally, and this is what I heard you do, one of the things that I always tell them, and I know it sounds dumb, but they know what I mean. I tell them that I want the garage to be back enough so that I can get 2 cars butt to butt in the driveway. Because when they say 2 cars, what they're talking about normally is a car here and a car there. That's why I said 2 cars butt to butt. But I also asked them that I don't know about this particular one since it's already, because we are actually not talking to the developer who's going to develop it, because it's going to Century, and Century is going to be developing it. But what I also, because we've had in the past all of this trouble with speeders, have asked that we not have roads straight down anymore, that somehow or another it be so that it's curved, or that we put the circles in there, because now folks are starting, even the new one that we were talking about earlier, Carruthers Farms, we were talking about that earlier, is having that same trouble because you can come in and go straight in. So anytime you do that, you've got people who just speed in. So those are 2 of the things, and that butt to butt would help a little bit with what you're talking about in the cul-de-sac, all of those cars, but not all together. So the HOA, having the HOA, and we hadn't talked about that, but everybody now is supposed to have an HOA. And to give them some teeth might help with that a little bit. But again, we aren't talking to the person that's actually going to build them, because that's Century. And so that's one thing, we don't have Century here to promise what it's going to look like. So that's one thing that I want you all to think about while we're looking at this one.
But the way you communicate concerns is to give it to a person who's going to be talking to the folks that will be developing, so that
If we say
the
yes,
information gets carried forward. And
correct.
as we get more into talking with the police force and understanding our roads, the lighting, the safety of them and things like that, I mean, you gotta start with your message somewhere so that it gets to.
Oh, correct.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't saying not against that. I'm just, no.
Okay.
No, I wasn't saying not against that.
I mean, there's good.
Right on there.
There's good practices and there's practices that we find that don't work very well.
True.
And we have something that we can do to kind of take the pressure off it. I mean, not, eliminate it. But
True.
we can relieve some of the pressure.
Yep, I'm with you.
You won't see those multiple cars stacked up on each other in an intersection.
True.
You won't see people walking along a dark road because there's no sidewalk and there's no.
So that won't be, they gotta be
streetlights and
sidewalks
things like
now.
that. But
Yep.
it's those kinds of things that concern me as we grow, that we have to accommodate the community to be safe.
Yes, sir. All right, I think we were back here, and then I think I had one back here, and then I had one up here.
Really quick, I just want to know what size homes are we doing? Are they doing 3, 4, 5? And I guess I want to just piggyback on what the gentleman said here. I live on Pinhook, and I know as we get new developments that they are putting sidewalks, but there's not a sidewalk that goes all the way from what's in Councilville to Brunswick Road. So there's spots where there are sidewalks, which can be an issue when you're adding more people. And on Pinhook, there's a lot of speeding. So I think before we look at another subdivision, which I think we need more, we may need more because we have more people moving here, more people moving homes. But I think we need to do some development on Pinhook because of the speed and there's no sidewalk. So, those speed bumps, I see those around Nashville to stop people from speeding so much. When you have those humps, or either something to keep the speed and then have some sidewalk for the people that live in that area that are walking dogs. I have a dog, I walk every morning, I almost get hit, literally down Pinhook. So I'm jumping with the dog. We have to have, the newer subdivisions, they do have that sidewalk, but there are so many spots that have no sidewalk. And then, especially when you're looking at your kids, they're not in school now, but the ones, they do on the bus, but what about the ones that miss the bus? I've seen the ones that miss the bus and have to walk up Pinhook to try to get to the back side of Antioch High. It is not a safe situation for our kids. So, I think about that too. I'm not opposed to more development. I just think we need to get some things in place prior to that development, per se.
And it may be a piece too, that if a development is coming and we need something else here, that we may want to require them to do something there to help with that before we, after we're done. No, okay.
To answer your question regarding sidewalk and, your points relative to sidewalks, Metro, starting, and don't quote me on the exact year, but somewhere around 2004, 2005, put in place requirement for, which is a good thing, in my opinion. They also come back a few years ago and added the requirement that now, if you notice, the new developments have a grass strip and you no longer have sidewalks right to the back of the curb. Those are things that Metro has put into place. However, obviously, there will come a time where, as this develops further into the future, that Pinhook's going to need to be improved. Whenever Pinhook is improved, you'll have your shoulder, you'll have sidewalks, et cetera, et cetera. I know it's really hard to wait, But that is in the works, so to speak, at some point. Regarding the home site, and also regarding this project, it is an SP. I'm going to back up a few steps and explain what an SP is. SP zone is a specialized zone. It goes to council, 3 readings after going to planning for a recommendation. Obviously, the planning meeting is a public hearing. Second reading to council is also a public hearing. So you have an opportunity. At that point, it's been through the process, so to speak. So you have your comments from city staff. They verified everything. They've looked at everything. And so at that point, you see what you have, so to speak. Part of the SP and the beauty of an SP is you're approving a specific plan. So any modifications or changes to that plan have to go back through an approval process at Metro. So this is an SP. So the product that you're seeing relative to the elevations of these buildings, that is what would be approved. Nothing different without going back through an approval process, which means more community meetings, more community input, et cetera.
Okay, I'm gonna be real rude, and they've already talked to me about being rude. They say I cut in, but I'm sorry. Y'all know y'all not gonna get out by a quarter after now, right? Okay, all right.
I'll be as quick as I can, I'm sorry. The smaller one, the 1,847 square feet, and the large ones, they are all 3, or 4 bedroom. And the largest one, 2-story options, it is 2,468 square feet.
Question, what's back there? Those are options, because they're just options.
I'm not sure if you're the person that I need to ask a question of, but since you're the civil design consultant.
Civil design consultants, yes, ma'am.
With that particular, those 43 homes, do they have an option, is there land around where they can go back and say, well, we're going to expand it and put phase 2 on it, or is it just
No.
those 40?
No, not, number one, back to the SP. If there were, we'd have to show that. So this is the lot in its entirety. Okay? This area back here is not developed. It is privately owned, but the owners that currently own this lot do not own that lot and have, to my knowledge, not approached them. We're not doing anything up here because we don't own it. So.
And as far as the sidewalk, having them not being blocked by cars, with the HOA, is there going to be something put in place that your cars cannot block the sidewalk? I'm
sure that there would be, absolutely. And we designed it so that, again, with 22 foot, given your standard parking space is 9 foot by 18 feet. So if you're considering your car being 22 feet in depth, you've got 4 foot to play with there to start with. So we're setting it up to where they shouldn't block the sidewalks. I think they could add that without any problem.
Where on Pinhook is this going to be?
This is between Lakewood and Weatherstone subdivision.
So there are already other subdivisions that are going to be.
That is correct. There's a subdivision both to the left and to the right. This one will not connect to them though.
So those 43 homes are going to squeeze into this area that's already kind of.
That is correct. That is correct. Yes.
Oh, I had him first and then you. Okay.
Can you tell me the date of your school board review where you said they had capacity?
We contacted, number one, the school board reviews come in based upon planning and their recommendation or requirement that one be done, and they handle that. We took it upon our themselves to contact not only the school board, which we did, and they said we'll defer, planning doesn't need it, that's fine, but we will confirm what the principals told us. And we actually went, myself, actually contacted the individual schools and received a letter even from the elementary school principal that they have capacity for the students.
The question was, what was the date, and did you get a date for any high school, which is chronically over?
I can find that information out for you, and exactly whenever I called them, I can send you the date and actual time. And individual.
That school is chronically over capacity, and for you to be squeezing that in, and I guess this is more of a comment for you, council member, with the number of planning that's already approved by council to come in, what does that school then look like if we keep adding density with none of the infrastructure that all of these people keep asking about? We're putting people on top of a problem that's already a powder keg without any infrastructure. I understand into a very explosive situation with our budget and what might happen in December, where it's going to even be more explosive. So I guess I keep wondering why we keep having questions about rezoning or approving zoning to add density to an area that's already overcrowded, overpopulated, completely and no infrastructure. I mean, that just has to be the question.
I agree. Well, I mean, the reason that he said something about the schools, because that's the first thing when they come to talk to me, I talk to them about the overcrowding of it. That's why maybe ask that question. That was, because I know how the overcrowded. So he'll have to get back to you, I guess. Went out and talked. Okay, that's another question on this particular one. What I will say to you now, because I'm going to ask the next one to come, because we will probably be doing some of these again, because this does not give the proper time for all the questions you have. So while the next one is, thank you so very much, unless you have something else. Did you want to say something? Yes.
I just want to say that this project, we've been trying to make it happen for more than 2 years now. And we try to meet all the...
This is actually the owner.
I live here. I live here most of my life with my family. I'm part of family. That's when I came to DC, I started. So I'm one of the publishers here. And when we try to do that project, we try to meet the need for the actual people which are live between them and what they're looking for. We did our best to meet the majority. We cannot make everybody happy, but we try to meet the majority of the people. And we are, as an owner, we are a small family. We start together, put hands in the spring, the hand to make a small subdivision. So we're looking for your support to do, and we're looking to meet your requirements. That's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you. So while the next developer, thank you so much, Mr. Gregg. So while the next developer is coming up and getting ready to do theirs.
Can I ask you?
Yes.
About the bridge part. If the four-sided bricks is the main concern, we will do it.
But do you have that capacity since you've already sold it to Century?
I can put that in the contract if you want that, it's okay for them. But this is the project is our life, and if this is the concern, and that is like a deal breaker for bricks, we'll make it happen to make everybody happy.
Okay, thank you.
What do you do?
So let me say, the next people can come on up. Let me say before because I see some people have left. If you've got specific comments about anything that you see tonight, if you will please email me. I'm going to ask you to email me at lee4d33@gmail.com. And the reason I'm asking you to email me there instead of the internet.gov is because that'll come straight to my phone and I can get that right away. So that again, and I think that's on here. So that's on here, so you don't even have to look. So if you have comments about something that you're seeing tonight, go ahead and email those comments to me, please. I will also, as you hear, I will also ask you to keep in mind, because some of you all may not know about this, because this was done, I heard they told me in 2005, so it was before, way before I got in here. But you know, on Hobson, there is a giant apartment complex going in right past Mountain View. So that is going to be huge. That's already done. It's already on its way. It's coming in.
Mount View and Hobson Pike are parallel.
Yeah, it's one next to, you got one next to Thornton's.
Yes, you pass Publix. You pass Publix. No, you pass Publix, then you cross over Mount View Road, and then it's right on Hobson. Murfreesboro Road.
That's right, yeah.
Murfreesboro Road.
It's right next to
on
Thornton's.
Murfreesboro Road,
Past
right
Thornton's,
over there.
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong road. So it's Murfreesboro, then it's Publix right here, then it's Mountain View, then it's like right over there.
Right.
And they're gonna be apartments, and they're gonna be huge.
And straight
I'm
together.
sorry? They are. I have no idea. That was, the decision on that was made in 2005. I didn't even know it was coming until I saw some stuff over there, and then we started fishing, trying to find out what was going on.
Hey, thank you, sir, for helping me out.
So, all right, so we've got the next one up now.
Yeah, they have a mic. Hello, everyone. Just for me to introduce myself, my name is Ali Angola. Actually, I'm the owner of the property. And really, this like what I have over here is my initial concept.
Okay, let me, can you all hear? Okay, so if, we'll stop anytime if you have a question for him, because there's some chatter like in the back, because I think it's hard up here, and he's talking low even though he has the microphone. So I want everybody to hear.
Okay. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. Is it good? Okay, good. Okay, this plan is just like, it's an initial plan. And actually we just starting to work on it, and we want to have everybody share us his ideas about it and what you think about it, if we can go through this plan, or maybe we have some question, or have some requirement. Actually, we haven't done a lot of studies on it. Some of the study about the capacity, the sewer capacity, I did already this one, and it's fine. But we just in a starting point. This plan actually, it's in Hobson Bike, and I believe it's right after, the intersection of Hamilton and Church was a Hobson Bike. When you turn on left, going to the lake, it's on the left-hand side, after the new building over there. And this
Is it
plan,
right down from the Dollar?
yeah,
Family Dollar?
for Family Dollar, after Family Dollar from the other side.
Dollar General. So that's a site for y'all.
Yeah, yeah, from the other side. And actually, this one is almost 14 acres, a little bit less than 14 acres. And actually, in the beginning, I started thinking about this plan as having houses. And then I said, like, if I'm gonna have houses, what about if I can have some support area on this house, like have some little commercial thing in the front. And that's really what I added. If you look to the frontage, and it has like some parking, and it has like about 10,000 square foot commercial building, which this one can include variety of stuff, not to include the near hill salons or tobacco stores. But really, having some stuff like this much, like, and have like almost 65 to 68 houses over there, if we have something in the front and can give them more relief, and can also serve the other areas around them. These houses, this is like two parts. The very back part is actually regular lots, and this one can hold houses from 2,000 square foot to 2,500 square foot. The one in the middle, which you see, it's a cottage houses. Something look like a townhouse, but it's a bigger and standalone. And actually it has the parking lot, you know, like has a garage on it, and the garage can lift 2 cars, not just 1 car, which means, and there'll be in a front. It's not gonna be a back garage, it'll be a front garage, okay? This one will include like around maybe 18 or 19. It's 20 of them. And also the front, which includes the commercial. For the green area space, if you look around, it's a big area, but on the left-hand side, you'll see like an open area, and it has actually barns, 2 barns over there, and I'm planning to leave them alone. I'm gonna have all of the area around it, green area, so we can have in the green area on this one. That's much what I'm planning to do. And if anyone wants to have a question, you can let me know.
This is at the very, very beginning. So he's very open to hearing what your suggestions are. The commercial part in the front can be, that's why he was being funny. I was like, I don't want any nail shops. I don't want any discount alcohol, tobacco, those type of things. But like an ice cream shop or maybe a dentist office or something. So if you have specific things that you want to say, he's very open for that, and we'll take notes on that, because I think you brought somebody with you. Is he your note taker?
No, yeah, this guy just helping me.
So questions or comments on this?
I have a question about the cottage homes. Are those intended for for folks who don't really need a big house or a big lot of land to take care of things like that? Somebody who is elderly or maybe a single parent with a child or 2, that kind of thing. Is that what those are?
Yeah, that's mostly.
Are they more affordable?
Actually, the pricing would be a lot less than the big lots in the back. And also, the backyard wouldn't be that much big. But at the same time, it's gonna look like nice, look like the Italian look like our homes. And at the same time, it doesn't come really as townhome. I don't like townhomes. I like to have my house, I have my walls. I don't want to have somebody set my wall. That's the reason I came with the idea, instead of having townhouses, why about we will have some kind of cottages. And at the same time, I want to make sure those cottages are not really very nice. At least it can be put with each one wide. That's what I'm looking. So can fit a 2-car garage and fit at least entrance not less than 10 foot wide. So can have a good space in the house. And actually, by doing so, we can make this one can start from the 1,800 square foot. So it can be good. And from pricing point, it will be better because you're not really putting too much material, too much stuff on it, and you can go less than the 300 and this price, because when we try to make the big one in the back, this house is gonna at least take bricks and some of the hardy will break all the way. They're gonna be more costly. And as you see right now, if you go around in the area, by the way, I do real estate work, and I've seen for the last 3 weeks, I couldn't find any house. I lost my customer asking and looking, and we even trying to hold the lot before even we build the house. Why? Because there's no available. And people keep coming, we cannot stop it. Actually, it's doing a good business. Really, we know how to work an economy, better than other states. I have been in different states. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Okay, I have one back there, then I had a gentleman up here.
Yes.
Therese, you had? Okay. Yeah, we don't keep our comments compact.
Yeah, price point on this one, especially if we're gonna keep adding, having at least the front brake and the rest of the stuff minimum will be hardboard. That's I'm looking from maybe mid 200 to 300 on this one. This is the cottage. And the other one probably will increase a little bit higher because the nature of the spaces are in the back, because we're gonna put also bigger space, a little bigger space.
I'm sorry, I remember my question. How are you going to restrict what kind of businesses going to the commercial area?
Actually, this is the good thing about the SP plan.
So my question is, how are you going to do that? Is that written as a restriction in the SP, or how is that going to be done?
Okay, we we haven't gotten to that point yet, because this is the first step, but it would be written in there. It would be written things that we, exceptions that we did not want in there, that type of things, have it listed out in the type that we wanted in there.
So we're documenting that, so it's clear, so no one
Yes.
gets it when you're down the road.
It will be, but it has not gotten to that point yet. Yeah.
I just want to be careful when we put communication out there that hasn't been documented. That's, you know.
So this is the very first step that he is doing. We haven't even gotten it printed out, the SP for the housing part or the commercial. He's kind of feeding off of you all to see how the commercial would work. We had that conversation about what do I want in this area? Well, I want some restaurants where you can sit down and so, oh, that might be good. Let's put some commercial out here. So it's still in that conversation type. But before it gets to the end, it most certainly will be written up like the kind of stuff that we don't want. I believe this gentleman had his hand up if he hadn't forgotten.
I'm just kind of confused where it's located again, I'm sorry. If you go on,
You know where Wind Haven Shores is?
no, I don't know.
Okay, you know where Dollar General is?
Yes,
Okay, just down to the next light pole, that's Wind Haven Shores, it goes way back. The very next little side street is this little Beach Miss Way.
okay, so it's a little further down.
Yeah, it's a little further down, but it's on the opposite side.
How many acres is it?
It's
Almost 14, like 13 and a half, 14 acres.
You know, where you're, you know, if you were right, with this little thing right here, looking across, there's just nothing but trees there right now.
Right now, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Other questions?
I
So.
got one.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
I just want to, again, I see there's a lot of houses going up and down Hobson Pike and Murfreesboro. And it may not be in your area, but I know that you may have some influence. Hobson Pike needs to be widened.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody cannot. So I see what Teresa's saying with infrastructure. It would be nice if Metro and State would get together and build up our infrastructure where we can allow, it's much easier for you guys to get something done when you have the infrastructure in place. But what we're doing right now, we're trying to get houses there with no infrastructure, which makes it difficult for you because it doesn't get past the constituents. So, so when we talk and with the council, you almost like you want to say, okay, can we put the schools in place? Can we put the roads in place? And then we put the houses. So what happens is you put the houses, you have traffic and you have congested school. It just doesn't work.
It's not really in a correct, it's not in a correct order, actually.
So I think if and this is nothing against you, Councilman, you know I love you. If the council can get together and figure out together what Nashville really needs, we know we need money. We know that. But when we get the money is going in the wrong places. It's not going back to the district. It's not going back to the people. I have found that, in my opinion, in politics, period, and I love politics to the core, but there's corruption in politics and a lot of people that don't know what they're doing. So therefore, politics is, and not her, is somewhat getting there for selfish reasons instead of having the heart to help people. And therefore, helping people will be extending Hobson Pike, helping Murfreesboro Road, helping the end weather trucks, and just doing that first, because again, it makes it hard on developers. I'm just telling you, for that reason, it makes it hard. And I love developers. I know a lot of developers. They are my friend. Old South is, I'm in Murfreesboro. He's right above me. We're in the same building. I love developers. But when we don't have the infrastructure and people are looking for this, it's almost like, you know, we just pile on each other on top of each other. And then that's why people move out instead of people moving in. So.
The other thing too is on Hudson Pike, you know, we're 50 miles an hour from the bridge all the way down to that light where the Citgo station was or whatever it is now. Now we're gonna have another gas station on the opposite side. Then we've got two schools beyond that. That stretch between Murfreesboro Road and the bridge needs to be 35 miles an hour. With all of these little side streets and things that are gonna be coming out, we've got to give people the opportunity to get out on the road and join traffic for the near future. Now, long term, we might widen that road, but we need to slow it down and make sure that people are safe on that road. And you know, we might as well understand that. Go ahead. But we need to slow it down so that the people that are walking along those roads where there's not sidewalks and things like that, or even cars that are trying to make it out, are not being challenged with vehicles that are traveling between 50 and 65 miles an hour, especially when they're trucks.
And not only that, not to cut you off, we're preaching to the choir right here. And I'm not, again, I love her. That's a state problem. Changing the speed, it has to do with the state. You're gonna have to get a state representative here, and we're gonna have to talk to them. That is the problem right now. We try to put everything on Metro, and Metro have to go to state.
So some of what, for instance, when we were trying to do the Starwood program.
Trust me, I talked to Mr. Estate.
So, for example, when we were trying to do the Starwood program, part of what was being required was that they had to do so much to an intersection. So what Metro is doing now is they are not, when you say you need road construction or you need some improvement, they are saying, okay, we don't have the money to do that. So what happens is when a developer comes, they put that on the developer as part of it. So that's why I'm saying and some people take me up on it and a lot of people don't because you're not used to doing this. When I say, tell us what you need, I honestly mean that because when I go through the back to get on Nolensville Road, where they're doing all that building on Nolensville, they have now put turn roads and a little cut through road and all that. And I know the county did, I know the city didn't do that. They told the developers, if you want here, that's what we need for that. That's what we've got to start doing. Like I heard the gentleman back there say something about some signal light someplace. Well, see, they don't know those kind of things. So if there's some things that we can put in place.
I put that on the Hub Nashville, and I got a response a year ago saying the developer was going to put a light in, and it hasn't happened.
Where was that?
It's the Mount View Road and
Not Hamilton Church.
Yeah, what?
Not Hamilton Church. Mount View and Hamilton Church.
Hamilton Church, Mount View Road.
No, I put that when I first came. Okay, y'all gonna make me stop. They told me when we had the other mayor, they were supposed to have done that. And I had a meeting with them. And they were like, well, we're gonna put this road here and we're gonna explain this and do all that. And I was like, look, you don't have to do all of that now because you don't have the money. Just put the light and put the turn thing. And I was told they're gonna do it. And every time something happens, I know that place. No, excuse me, I'm taking up time from the other, but when I say we need stuff, when I'm asking you what we need, that's what those are the type of things that I want you to tell me so that if we have a developer that is putting something and we need to expand that road for a whole turning lane, then they need to do that. And we need to talk to them about that so that they can say, okay, we're going to do it, or no, it's going to be too much, we can't do it. Yes.
This is such a frustrating thing about this meeting. It feels as though we are saying the same thing over and over. And thank you, Montez, because that was exactly what we've been saying about not having input.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't hear I'm sorry, it's me. I can't hear what she's saying.
I was saying that's the frustrating thing, because we were saying the same thing over and over. And we have developers coming asking us to approve more people.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a former school teacher. I can't, with everybody talking and somebody's trying to talk, I can't hear. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying that that's a frustrating thing about this meeting, because if we keep saying the same thing, we need more infrastructure, and all we have is all these wonderful things. But I think a lot of the community is just gonna come and say no, because we can't manage what we currently have.
Okay, then that's what they need to do, so people are here.
Yeah,
Okay.
finally, before I go, I just distribute another plan. It's the same one, but this one replacing the commercial part with residential part. It's another concept to look at it. And actually, I want to share it with you as well. And really, it's going to be all of the same thing. It's just only adding commercial, residential instead of commercial. Some people might not like the commercial on this area. I want to introduce another option. I don't want to really take too much time from Mr. Dewan. He's going to come to do his presentation. But if you have any question, just go ahead.
I just voiced my opinion. I actually like the commercial because I like to have like, you got skilled dentistries or what have you, some professionals in that
Cafe,
building rather
sit
than
down, eat.
your tobacco and stuff like that. I'm right with you on that.
That's fine. Yeah, and that's my number one. But the place, I like to give more option so people can discuss it. People do want to have anything. I'm open for it. Anyway, Mr. Dewan.
Thank you.
Welcome.
We got one more presentation.
Thank you. We got one more. It's gonna go fast because we're gonna do some more stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lee, I'm sharing my screen with the
Okay.
Zoom folks, so
Okay, cool.
they'll see the same slides that I've handed out to
Great.
everybody.
Can they see you on that too?
I
need to show you.
You probably need to show me.
Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate everybody for sticking around late tonight, and I'll try to be respectful of everybody's time. My name is Dwayne Cuthbertson. I work with Womble and Associates. Andy Womble, the civil engineer, is also here as a resource for you all. We're here to represent the development proposal on 29 acres of property. You'll see that on the front page of the handout I gave you. It's 29 acres of undeveloped property that stretches between Hobson Pike on the south and Mount View Road on the north. This 29 acres, just so everybody is clear as to where it's located, is just east of Hamilton Church Road. Again, it extends all the way through from Hobson to Mount View. Toggle this at the same time. So when we first started looking at concepts for this property, it's entirely residential. We consulted a lot of the metro departments, including planning and public works and metro stormwater. But one of our guidance is the community plan. And so the community plan for this property has got a policy that's neighborhood evolving. It suggests that the character and development intensity could change. So we had a pretty lengthy dialogue with Metro Planning Department, and again, Public Works, stormwater, and those others, as to what they thought was appropriate with this site. It's currently zoned agricultural, so for us to do anything of significance, we certainly have to rezone it. And I'll also echo what everybody before me has said. Our intent is to do an SP, so if we make commitments, they are written into the zoning, they are enforceable. So again, working with the metro departments, we came up with a particular concept. Again, it was entirely residential, and this is page 3 on your development, on your handout. Again, keeping in mind that it's a little over 29 acres, we are proposing 194 residential lots. While that sounds intense, it's a density of 6.5 lots per acre, which is pretty consistent with the density you'll find in the surrounding area. We are proposing a variety of housing types. You'll see them color-coded in this on page 3. We've got detached homes on the north side, closer to Mount View, and they get slightly more intense as we transition south to Hobson Pike. The idea is we'd like to create a complete, what we call a complete community, so that we have different households that can afford to participate and desire to participate in this particular community. We're proposing smaller townhomes up to larger detached homes. So a young couple, a single person could afford to move in and participate in this neighborhood, as well as those who are downsizing and don't want the yard and don't want all the square footage. They have the townhomes available. But then if you have children, you also have detached homes and can buy into this neighborhood. You'll see on that site plan a variety of elements that I want to highlight. One is the connectivity. So there's a lot of concern about traffic. I understand that, but we're proposing a high level of connectivity here. So we've got public streets that run through this entire property, connecting Hobson Pike to the south and Mountain View on the north. We've also, Public Works and Planning basically demanded that we provide a connection to Kensal Green, to the immediately to the west. That's not really for our benefit. It's not a cut through for anybody in our neighborhood. It's more, it's a second means of egress or access for those who are in Kensal Green. Again, that was a requirement from Planning and Public Works. You'll also see in our layout, we are proposing quite a bit of open space, and that keeps our density down. We're proposing meaningful open spaces, parks, where kids, families can gather, but we're also setting aside quite a bit of space for stormwater as well. With this development does come a high level of infrastructure. Again, we're proposing public streets in this development, but we're also proposing improvements on both Mountain View and about 850 feet along Hobson Pike. So sidewalks will be along all of the public roads, including those the major streets, Hobson Pike and Mountain View Road. With concerns related to traffic, as Jared mentioned in his presentation, we will have to work with Public Works. We will have to do a TIS, a traffic improvement study, and any improvements that they ask us to make, they're not suggestions. We have to make them. So if they ask us to do turn lanes, we have to put in turn lanes. If we have to make traffic improvements up the street at the intersection, we have to do that. And so that's something that the engineer submits, Public Works reviews, and they tell us based on our density what improvements we have to make to both Mountain View and Hobson Pike. One of the benefits of our through street between Mountain View and Hobson Pike is that it does disperse the traffic some. So folks have at least 2 points of access to spread. They aren't just concentrated on Hobson Pike that can access Mountain View. The beauty of Hobson Pike is it does connect east and west. They aren't funneled all in one direction. One other aspect that I want to point out is because we are proposing a variety of housing types, they're not all the same. There will be different households that buy into this community who do have different traffic patterns. They don't all leave at 7:30 in the morning and get home at 4:30, 5:30 at night. Some will work from home, some will work at night. And so our hope is that it minimizes or mitigates some of the traffic impact that you might find in a traditional all single family home type development. We are again providing quite a bit of green space, including buffers around the perimeter, and our parking supply. So we are supplying quite a bit of parking with this development. Each home will have at minimum 2 parking spaces, but the detached homes on the north side will have stacked parking, an ability to park 2 in front of the garage, so a total of 4 in front of their house without spilling over across the sidewalks. Our streets will be designed so that they do provide space for on-street parking, but then the surface parking behind the townhomes, there are more than 2 per unit back there. So our intent is to provide or to propose a pretty high quality architecture. We're certainly with that SP willing to limit the materials, of course, no vinyl or aluminum siding. We can commit in that SP to doing quality architecture and materials around the entire house, all 4 sides. And price, it's really dependent on the market analysis. We certainly want to push the quality in this area, and our target right now is somewhere between $300 and $500 for all of the homes. So infrastructure, we've heard a lot all night long, infrastructure. With this development, we do have to contribute quite a bit of infrastructure, sidewalks, road improvements, stormwater infrastructure. But I'll say this, I'll add this, and I was a city planner for 17 years with Metro and other municipalities, and it's a chicken and egg dance that every city in America is doing. Do we build the infrastructure first? Do we wait for the development to come in and pay for it? How do we manage this whole thing called growth? And I don't know that anybody has the right answer. The one thing that I will say is right now, this 30 acres contributes $5,000 a month. Sorry, scratch that. $5,000 a year in property taxes. That's all Metro gets from this property in an undeveloped state. Using a fairly conservative analysis based on what we're proposing, the difference in 3 years is significant. So in 3 years, when this is all developed out, all the homes are sold, this development will be contributing over $400,000 a year in property taxes. That goes to Metro. That helps pay for new infrastructure. If it doesn't redevelop, it continues to contribute just $5,000 a year. So I don't suggest that I have the answer, but that's got to be part of the equation. That through development, we can improve the infrastructure that we have, and it'll add additional folks to Southeast Davidson County who will contact local leaders, who will contact state leaders and demand additional infrastructure improvements. So with that, I will stop and answer any questions.
In the back?
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. Is this the property that we had a conversation about 6 weeks? We live in Nashville.
Yes.
And so we had a conversation about this about 6 weeks ago.
On Zoom, yes.
Okay, so it hasn't, so you're gonna add 194 new units, and your argument is we'll have more people to complain about infrastructure? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that we have over 29 acres, and we're proposing a density of 6.5 lots per acre. And we are going to make a lot of infrastructure improvements. And the value of all of this property, yes, will increase
The number of people that can complain about those cracks.
significantly, and will contribute to Davidson County's property tax receipts. Yes, sir.
I live in the Kessel Green area,
Yeah.
and I know we got a shortcut. I know it's a requirement from the park, whatever, Public Works.
Yeah.
Now. What chance would it be like put kind of a slanted speed bumps? Is this gonna be, people are gonna use that shortcut left and right?
The only ones who are going to use that as a shortcut are folks from your neighborhood. I'm pretty certain. However, with that said, it's certainly something we can talk about.
Not the mean speed bumps, I mean,
Yeah, just speed humps.
speed hump.
And absolutely.
Gradual type.
We're open to that conversation. Sometimes Public Works is not.
Okay.
We're certainly willing to help have that conversation. And if
Why would Public Works not be open to that? We requested it for years ago.
just in my experience, I've in different parts of Davidson County, sometimes they are open to traffic calming measures. If it's a private drive, they're more open to it. This will be a public street. So I can't sit here and say, absolutely, we'll do speed humps. We're willing to have that conversation. And if Metro Public Works says, yes, let's do speed humps, I'm assuming they're not $1 million speed humps.
Right.
There's a little logic behind it. I've got a little background on this. Even though you have an HOA and you have a community, ultimately, over time, like Davidson County assumes responsibility for all your streets. So if there's a crack in the street or there's something going on in the street, it's Davidson County's responsibility to go in and repair that road. Now, if they put speed bumps in, that becomes a maintenance issue for the city. And you actually have a crew that's dedicated going around trying to repair those on after the cold season and going into a cold season so that they stay structurally sound, because you don't want those things falling apart and so on and so forth. So it's one of those burdens that you see.
They're trying to say it's a money thing.
Exactly, it's a money eater, what it is. And signs, 20-mile-an-hour signs don't do it. I myself, for the teenagers that go running through my neighborhood with their new cars and they've got their license, I have no bones about stepping off my curb and standing in the middle of the road and stopping. I might be a speed bump, but when I get to the side of that car and I tell you, you go by me again, I'm going to call the cops. They're going to come to your door and your parents are going to be standing there and you won't be driving this car. So, but it's one of those things where, sometimes when you live in a community, you see little kids running around riding bicycles, scooters, and things like that. You gotta do something, So, but, as time goes on, every community is gonna have to, be your own
overseers or parenting.
And we're certainly willing to participate in that conversation as how we design our public streets in a way that mitigates speeding, enhances traffic calming for sure as we go along.
Like I said, that's another conversation that I have with all my developers now. So I don't know if they come in and say Public Works doesn't like it. I say it's got to be something, either when they do them, the roads have to be like curvy and not straight in, or they look at doing a circle or some kind of something down there, but something to break the traffic up.
Now, in the old days, 50 miles an hour on Hudson Pike was a good thing because there was nobody living there and you could do it. Now, with so many communities, we have to slow that road down to 35 miles an hour. We just have to.
Did you raise your hand again?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think he has to leave. He has a 15-year-old
daughter who's going to be sitting in the dark.
Okay.
Going to be sitting in the dark. So
Okay.
thank you so much.
So I am sure that we are going, I got one more hand right quick. No, yes, huh?
Well, Councilmember,
No, she had her hand back there.
Councilmember, I did want to point out the engineer will be here. If you have questions, we can have that conversation.
Okay. So we probably will have another meeting. As I told you, none of this stuff is shoe-in. None of it. And especially the ones that were just on the very beginning. So again, if you have comments or suggestions or something that you want to put on something, please email me the lead for 33 and that is on the agenda. And what I will do is print those out and put them together to use when we talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward, or if we're going to move forward with any of the different developments. So I do want to tell you again about the 19th, that we're going to try to have something again at the 19th. And if Deacon Coleman can get it, we're going to try to have it here again. And because this is so nice that we can spread out. And hopefully if everybody will cross their fingers, then our Zoom will finally work. I don't think we've ever had it where it worked right at the beginning of the meeting. But I want to thank all of you. Does anybody else have any parting? Because y'all got 10 minutes before the debate comes on. It comes on at 8, doesn't it? Yeah, you got about like 10 minutes. Okay, so be careful out there. Thank you all so very much for coming. And I have asked Rosie now, everything is emailed out, also be put on District 33. So hopefully that'll work. You all see, I told you about my Facebook. I try to post stuff on my Facebook. Heads up, that's Antoinette WB 33. Just remember Antoinette Lee, put a 33 behind it, and that should help you find it. Try to get you the information so that you can look at everything before we come, so that you'll have questions when you get here. Thank you all so very much for coming. Thank you so very, very, very much. Mask up when you go out. Am I too close to you? Oh, you gotta mask up when you go out. You heard today the mayor said, oh, you can get up. I'm just talking as you get up. The mayor said that our numbers were rising again. I had a meeting downtown with my regular job, and as I rode down there, I was looking at all the people who did not have on masks and people who were in those buggy things, that bicycle buggy things, hollering like this out at everybody, and none of them had on masks. So make sure you have on a mask and look at people funny when they don't. Say, you need a mask? Okay, I've done it before. Of course, they said no, but at least I said it. Okay, so and one other thing, report, because that Thornton up on getting off 24 and Old Hickory, those people didn't have a mask, and I asked the lady about behind the thing, she didn't have on a mask, and she was like, well, we can't ask them to wear a mask because they might say something to my people. So report that. Okay, thank you all so very much for coming. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for doing Zoom. And all y'all who stuck with us through all this trouble with the Zoom, thank you so very, very, very much, y'all. Y'all have a good
you. Can I ask a quick question?
Huh?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
I want to just ask about the development on Old Franklin Road and Cane Ridge Road.
Yes. They weren't one of the ones. They weren't one of the ones during the presentation. But you're talking about the townhouses that are going up back there?
Well, I didn't know what it was. I just remember attending a meeting pre-COVID, and they were talking about plans and saying that I guess the entrance to that would be across that light across from
Yes.
CHS. But all the development, it looks like it's around where that body of water is, and they're off of Cane Ridge Road. So I was just wondering, like, did anything change?
Thanks.
Or?
No, I don't know if something else is going on over there too, but that one specifically that we had talked about, they're townhouses. And yes, because we talked about being over to get, thank you, being able to get on. And yes, it's supposed to be, because I was like, you need a light or something out there. And they were like, no, it's gonna be right across from that light. There's already a light there. So you are correct. So I don't know, I'll have to go out there and look.
Please do, please.
I don't know if you all heard, but I'm trying to do another one on the 19th. And we were gonna have somebody here tonight that was gonna talk about all of the up and coming things that we've got in the area. Either their zone changed, so they're coming, or they're already in progress. They weren't able to come tonight, but I'm hoping that they will be able to come on the 19th.
Okay.
I don't know about all the different ones without looking them up or asking somebody about them. So I wanted somebody here that would be able to look them up right away when you all ask about them.
Yeah, I mean, they started, I want to say last week or the week before. And I mean, they've cleared out all the trees. Like before, I thought they said there was going to be like walking trails around the pond and just all this other stuff. And so I was just a little, you know, taken aback by that, being that's the main road on Cane Ridge coming into our neighborhood. And it's like, now it used to be, you know, trees with blocks seeing the building. Now, I mean, you just see everything. And it's just like, wow.
And that doesn't have anything to do with the new road at all, does it? Uh-oh, they're turning the lights out on me.
I'm not sure. It's Old Franklin Road and Cane Ridge Road.
Okay, so I think Rosie, I see Rosie's name. I think she is still on here. So when we have the 19th with Matthew, that is one of the areas, Rosie, that we really need to talk about and look at to see what's going on over there off of Cane Ridge Road.
Okay, I have a list. What address is it?
We can have somebody there on the 19th because Martez just done turned the lights out and he's getting ready to run me out of here. But
hi, my name is Zena Wood, and I live right around the corner from there, so I know which road that she's talking about. And I've checked with Metro because the last that I talked with, and this was earlier this week, that part of that development is actually going to have an entrance to my subdivision, but that entrance is only going to be for emergency vehicles. And there was some confusion because there's been a couple of 3 changes that have taken place. I was told at one time that, and my last discussion was that it's going to be a combination of single family homes and townhomes. But I want confirmation of that as well, please, because there's 2 large developments that's planned for that entire area on Old Franklin Road. So it's not going to stop with that one development. There's also a development of multifamily housing that's going to be impacted as well. So that's just part 1. And I know exactly what you're talking about because I go past where that pond is.
Yes.
It looked like it was a private property.
Yes.
I drive all those trees. I know exactly where you're talking about.
That, and I drive by there every single day.
So the one that I'm talking about is supposed to be townhouses, and they're townhouses only. They're not apartments. But we'll have somebody here to talk about that whole specific, because some of my district is so funny. One side of the road is one district and another part is somebody else. So they'll be able to tell us exactly what it is, whose it is, and what's
There's a Councilmember Lee.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a Carroll at Cane Ridge Phase 1 at 0 Old Franklin Pike. It's a planned unit development. Is that the one you're thinking about?
What I'm thinking about.
I know, originally when I went to the meeting earlier this year, the builder, I think it was, the Carroll Company or something like that. North
Carroll.
Carolina or
Carroll
something.
at Cane Ridge. It's a property at Old Franklin Road, and it's 1,200 feet east of Cane Ridge Parkway, and within a plan unit development district to permit 432 apartments requested by Dale and Associates. Cane Ridge,
Now, is that my district?
that's what it says.
Because I didn't approve any apartments.
No, you haven't approved anything. I mean, you haven't done anything.
So that land was already there and they're just now starting to build on it.
Yeah, I think that's been there for a while. So if it's the same one, he said you've never signed off on it.
Okay.
Particular property in question, about a year or so ago, there was a sign up that that property was for sale. And the company was Addison and something. I can't think of the name of it, but it was a developer. It was a developer sign, and that was indicative that it was for sale. And a couple of weeks ago, that's when they started clearing all of the area, because it looks like they have two entrances, one on Cane Ridge Road and the other one on Old Franklin Road, or at least tentative entrances.
We can probably find out more about it tomorrow.
From CHS.
Okay, so Rosie, for the 19th, can we see if we can reach out to whoever the developer is for that, to see if they can come and share some information with us? And then we'll have that.
It's Roy Dell Associates.
Okay, so whoever it is, can we see, and we can have them to come in, and then they can share, because they can answer the ladies' questions specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All righty.
Okay, so y'all, thank y'all so very much for coming. Y'all got like about a minute before the presidential debates are on. Everybody mask up and y'all be safe, and put on your calendars for the 19th, y'all here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.